Hello and welcome. This is Ahmed Fakhri, and in this video I'm going to be demonstrating a personal project developing a game called MangaPuzzle. And that game was written using web technologies, HTML, CSS, JavaScript and JavaScript libraries such as jQuery and jQuery Mobile. And then this game was converted into an Android application using the PhoneGap framework, which I'm going to be showing you shortly. But first of all, let's take a look at the game itself. So here in the browser, this is the main menu, and the UI was designed by using the jQuery mobile library. So the user is presented with a number of pictures from which he can choose one, and obviously these pictures are of Japanese animated manga images, and hence the name MangaPuzzle. And then choose a difficulty level. I'm gonna go for the easy one because it's easier for me to solve, and then we hit play. So now we try to arrange these tiles in order to form the complete image. This one was shuffled randomly in a very easy way, so well, it was very easy for me to solve, but it's not necessarily the same organization of tiles every time because it's done randomly. So if we hit play again, well, this time is a little different. So let's take a look at the code again. Before we do that, let's try another picture. It's the same thing exactly, nothing different. Here as well, same thing, nothing different. Okay, so in the JavaScript code, I try to design the program in an object-oriented manner, and of course that was a little tricky here in JavaScript because it's not a conventional class-based and object-oriented language. So everything is really simulated using closures, and the fact that functions themselves are objects. So we have three main objects here in this program: the grid, and the tile, and finally the cell here. So the idea behind this design, let's try one of these images again. We have a grid, and this grid is comprised of a number of cells, and the number of cells is determined by the chosen difficulty by the user. One grid has many cells, and those cells don't actually move, but each cell can have one tile at any particular moment. So we create the grid, and we create a list of cells to add to that grid, and we then create a number of tiles, and each tile is just a div that is displaying part of the image, and then we put them on the cells in the grid, and we then shuffle them randomly, and each one of these tile has a property called the solved cell, or the solved row, and the solved column. So these cells are organized in a number of rows and columns. Okay, so whenever a tile is moved from one cell to the other, we check to see whether the grid is solved by checking to see whether all the tiles are placed in their solved cells. So the user can tap on any of these tiles. If it's possible to move, it will. This one is not, because it's not directly adjacent to an empty cell. This one is definitely, because it's adjacent to one empty cell. And that's it. That's basically the idea behind the design of the code. I tried to organize things, have like private properties and privileged methods, make each of these objects self-contained, so that it's really orthogonal code, and I don't have to worry about certain operations. So yeah, it was much easier to develop it this way. Now the next step, if we move over to Eclipse, so that in order to demonstrate how I converted it into an Android application, all what we needed to do is to add the PhoneGap jar file, the library, and reference it here from our Android project, add it to the build path of our Android project. And then here in the assets folder, we created a www folder, and then copied over all of our web application files that we created in our web development IDE. And then of course we have to add the PhoneGap JavaScript library, this Cordova.js. And finally, in the Java file of the activity, of our Android activity, we just extend the droid gap here, and in the onCreate method, we just say, hey, super.load URL, load this internal URL, the index.html file of our web application, and it will start the internal web view of the Android application to display the game. So it's very easy to develop the game and then use the existing code to run it on Android as if it's a native application, but it's actually not. So I have my emulator here. Let me try to run it just to show you that it runs as if it's a native application. So I'm gonna run it as an Android application and move over here to the emulator. Well, first of all, you will notice how slow it is here on the emulator, and that's just an artifact of the emulator itself. It doesn't have to do anything with the game code. But I tried, of course, the game on my Android phone, and it was very fast and enjoyable to play. So it's taking a bit of time here. Okay, it's about to start. Okay, it's a little slow. Here it is. It started here. Okay, and as you can see, it's very slow, but it's gonna start shortly. Here we go. Come on, come on. Okay, here we go. So it started. Same game experience as if it's a native Android application. Choose one of these pictures, hit play. As you can see, it's very slow. And then, well, try to organize them. Well, same idea. It's just very slow. So yeah, and try to solve the tiles. So that's it. That's the demonstration of the MangaPuzzle that I wrote. I hope you liked it, and thanks very much.